Well, welcome back to, you got it, Gramma's Night. Great story by Brother Mark. I'll start with what he wrote in his eulogy as a prelude to his story. And he says, I was one of the few people who Gramma would actually let into her kitchen. From the moment I began eating solid foods, Gramma saw great potential in me as a sous chef, which means assistant or below chef. She saw how fast I could eat, and she thought I might be of some value to her food preparation for about 800 people. So at the age of 9 or 10, I graduated from hard labor, probably picking that Bermuda grass in her backyard, to kitchen helper. And the only time I ever remember being hit by Gramma was in the kitchen. And once when she wasn't looking, I took a little bit of their homemade bread, dipped it into the pasta sauce, and then she sneaked up behind me and whacked me over the knuckles with this wooden spoon. Basically, it hurt so bad that I dropped the bread in the sauce, and then she hit me again. And I guess this is the kind of education, training, cultivation of training a sous chef. But let me share with you Mark's story. It started way back in the 1960s, and this was written by Mark in 1990 called Cleaning Chickens. One of my fondest memories of Gramma spans 3 decades and continues into the present. The drive to Zehner's Chicken Ranch into southwest Fresno, wherever that might be. As a young child, the ride to Mamie Zehner's Chicken Ranch seemed endlessly exciting, with Gramma reminiscing about her childhood as we passed timeless landmarks along Walnut Avenue, not far from where Gramma grew up. My first memory of Zehner's Chicken Ranch was perhaps the most graphic memory a young child of 8 could possibly have. Gramma asked Mamie if the children could see how chickens were killed and cleaned. Okay, Mamie took us into the back room where I lay my eyes upon 5 or 6 funnel-shaped devices. I remember those. Just then, a worker wearing a big black plastic apron and knee-high rubber boots stuck live chickens head first into the funnels. With their heads dangling down, the man took out a knife and cut off the chickens' heads. Then he drew the chickens into what looked like a washing machine. And then moments later, out came the chickens ready to be taken home and cleaned. That was all there really was to it. The ride home took a little longer, with the nearly 50 chickens weighing down the trunk of Grandpa's 1953 Cadillac. Oh, that thing was a gas guzzler. Oh, it would guzzle more gas, much more than today's Humvee. I probably should have been carsick at the thought of those bloody chickens. But on the contrary, I couldn't wait to get to Grandma's house to see what was inside them. Shortly after, we arrived at Grandma's and Grandpa's house, and in walked my mother, Aunt Jay, Aunt Marie, to take their stations at the table. Wow. Not a moment went by when someone commented about the smell of freshly removed chicken entrails. Gramma, like the captain at the helm, kept everybody on task. The only one to escape the arduous task of cleaning chickens was Grandpa, who sat placidly in his armchair in the living room, smiling sympathetically at whomever happened to walk through the room. My big contribution came at the grand finale. Gramma wrapped all the chicken entrails in the newspaper spread over the table and turned to me and said, "Here, Mark, take this out to the garbage, will you?" Nowadays, Gramma and I steadfastly carry on the tradition of cleaning chickens every few months, 4 times a year to be exact. Mamie sends Gramma's a notice that the chickens are ready. Gramma and I set aside a Saturday morning for this nostalgic ritual. I usually arrive about 7 o'clock in the morning, and Gramma has a cup of hot coffee ready for me. The drive out to Zehner's hasn't changed much, only that the name Fig Avenue north of Jensen has been changed to Martin Luther King Drive.